Today, we're taking a close look at one of Japan's most important economic indicators, machinery orders.
Hello! This is Japanese Economic Review Channel. We're diving into this one today because the latest report, well, it's a real head-scratcher. It gives us this fascinating and honestly pretty puzzling look under the hood of the economy. It's like it's telling us two completely different stories at the exact same time.
All right, so before we get into the weeds, let's be clear about where this is all coming from. Everything we're talking about is pulled directly from the official November 2025 report just published by Japan's Cabinet Office. So this isn't just our opinion, right? This is the raw data that policymakers and top business leaders are looking at as we speak.
So you might be asking, why all the fuss about machinery orders? Well, it's because they're basically a crystal ball for the economy. They give us a little glimpse into the future. Think about it. When a company decides to buy new, expensive machinery, that's a huge vote of confidence. It means they're planning to grow, to expand, to invest in their future. This statistic tracks those big orders, which makes it an incredibly powerful leading indicator. It helps us see where corporate spending, and by extension, the whole economy, is headed, say, 6 to 9 months down the road. Okay, so let's get right into the latest numbers for November 2025, because as soon as you look at them, you hit this puzzle. The data seems to be pointing in two opposite directions.
At first glance, things look pretty good. The big headline number shows total machinery orders jumped up by a really healthy 8.5% from the month before, and coming off a dip in October, you'd think, great, a strong rebound.
But, and this is a huge but, here comes the twist. When you filter out the really volatile stuff, like orders for ships and from electric utilities, and you just look at the core private sector orders, boom, a massive drop of 11.0%. And that's the number that really tells us what businesses are planning to do.
So how on earth do you get a positive headline number and at the same time a deeply negative core number? How is that even possible? Well, answering that question is exactly what we're going to do because that's where the real story is hiding.
To solve this puzzle, we've got to break down that total demand number. We need to see what's actually driving the growth and what's causing the weakness.
And here it is, the answer to our puzzle, laid out plain as day. That headline number was being propped up by a colossal 67.8% surge in public demand. We're talking government orders, probably for big infrastructure projects. Add to that a decent 5.3% bump from foreign demand, export deals. But look at private demand from inside Japan. It actually fell by 7.2%. The good news on the surface was completely masking weakness at home.
Okay, so let's dig into that weak private demand a little more. If businesses aren't spending, where exactly is that slowdown happening?
And wow, this is really telling. The drop wasn't just in one corner of the economy. Orders from manufacturers were down 10.8%, and orders from the non-manufacturing side, down a nearly identical 10.7%. So the big takeaway here is that this hesitation to invest is happening across the board. It could be a sign that business leaders are getting a little nervous, maybe about global demand or what consumers are going to do next. All right, so we've pulled the numbers apart. What's the big picture here? What should we really be taking away from this November 2025 report?
It really boils down to three key things. First, that positive headline number is, frankly, misleading. It's being carried entirely by the government and overseas orders. Second, the really crucial number, that core domestic business confidence, is flashing a pretty big warning sign. And third, this isn't just one industry having a bad month. This slowdown in investment is widespread. So all of this leaves us with the million-dollar question for the next few months. Remember, this is a leading indicator. So, are we just seeing a temporary blip, a momentary dip in business confidence, or is this the first real signal that the Japanese economy is starting to cool down? The answer is going to have huge implications for everything from the job market to stocks, and you can bet we are going to be watching the next report like a hawk.
Thank you for watching the Japanese Economic Review. We look forward to having you with us again.